So we're gonna do modern polygamy. The divine masculine is gonna be speaking today. So my name is Asha, and I started my tribe, and I'm a tantra practitioner and spiritual educator, and just here today to make this space, for that strong masculine voice and that presence that we need in the polygamy community, because it's necessary. So we're gonna start with just introducing ourselves and then talking about the benefits of polygamy.
You start with me?
Absolutely.
Let's start with you, and then we'll start with always, and then we go there.
Don't mind me. I'm just sending out the live to everybody right now.
Okay.
Dope.
I'm Plant Based Oas. My branding name. I have a business called Well-Being that's built on personal development, spiritual growth, and preventative medicine. I've been just a little background about me. I've been vegan for going on a decade now. I take community initiative with my people with teaching them about just preventative medicine, herbalism, healing on a deep discovery, self-discovery journey, plant-based cooking and transition, offering just herbal remedies and alternative ways of healing, and also just doing the work, working within polygamy, being taught by my wife, and understanding more on an emotional elevation type level of being open as a masculine man to be taught by a woman. I feel like, you know what I'm saying, a lot of the times as masculine men, we could forget that who we were first nurtured by, you know what I'm saying, and how to get back in touch, like we was discussing in the group, to get back into Black woman within us. When we was, and how we was, when we was, breathing that fetal fluid within the womb and what was keeping, you know what I'm saying? So being open to that and understanding like some of the reprogramming from the patriarchy ways of how we've been taught to look at women as behind or beneath us. I think that's a lot of, for me, it has been a lot of beneficial things to my growth. It's added a lot of beneficial ways to my growth and opening my mind and reprogramming and reconditioning myself to being open to seeing the Black woman in a different way. I already was coming into it, you know what I'm saying? And as you know, and if you being a more, you know what I'm saying, the compass leads the way, the square makes the line, I'm a bangs the nail street. I held Grand Street in Hope County in the penitentiary, bro. So I already know, like, that's why I already kind of connect with my Moorish brothers on a different level when it comes to different things spiritually. But, getting away from religion, I did see a lot of how women were doomed and how they were talked about and how they were the ones that were kind of antagonized. You know what I'm saying? So I think coming into polygamy, it taught me a lot about how to reprogram from that. You know what I'm saying? And it did add to my business, because a lot of my business come through is from Black women. A lot of Black women do support me and love me. So that's it, man. You know what I'm saying?
If I could, I wanted to add on to what you were saying there, because it's very important, and you're absolutely right. But another thing to add on to that is that we also have to give a lot of grace to Black women when it comes to coming into polygamy, because as you pointed out, they bring in a lot of conditioning that may make them detrimental to the success of polygamy. They have a lot of, conditioning that's put on them that makes them afraid of it, can make them sabotage it, even if it's in their best interest, even if it can help them overall. They kind of have been conditioned to move in a way that's to their own demise. But again, like you said, it's on us to be more understanding and to provide that support as well. So I just wanted to add on to that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So
totally agree.
don't mind me. You already know the Moors, how we feel about women. You know what I'm saying? The woman,
The more
the
about
fez is the symbol of the woman. We wear the fez. Everybody asks me in my neighborhood, they be like, yo, what's the science behind the fez? And I tell them, your mother. And they be like, what? I be like, yeah. Our mothers is what we wearing on our head. We paying reverence to the woman. You know what I'm saying? Point I want to add on to what both of you guys were saying about women. Women basically, as far as more science is concerned, is the pinnacle and the foundation of the present, the past, present, and the future. You know what I'm saying? What became first, the chicken or the egg? And that's a riddle that a lot of people don't really understand. What came first, the chicken or the egg? And dealing with the gods, I learned that coming up over time, the gods have dealt with a male chauvinistic and a misogynist way of looking at the lessons. You know what I'm saying? Oh, she's earth, she can't be God. But I don't, as I go into more science, I see how it's coming full circle and how the lessons is really 360. The gods got the 120, but what about the rest? Like, you feel me? Cause so if it's a 360-degree circle of knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, and y'all saying, okay, we mastering 120, where's the other lessons at? So I guess for me, more is science, and even certain particular parts of some religions are the other part. You feel me? That's the other science. That's the other parts of it. Like Islam has an esoteric part. Christianity has an esoteric part. All of these so-called religions have a esoteric part of it, and the woman is the pinnacle around it. But they shun that.
Okay, so we have a question here, and then we'll get into the first topic. So, how important is emotional intelligence when dealing in polygyny? So, polygyny is one man married to multiple women. So that's a basic definition, right? But it's variations of what that's going to look like and what men qualify for that also, depending on the tribe. But y'all want to chime in on that?
Let me tackle that. So let me tackle that. So specifically polygyny, like you said, one man, multiple wives.
Yeah.
How important is emotional intelligence when dealing with polygyny? It's absolutely fundamental. It's absolutely crucial for all parties involved. Like, a man could be very emotionally intelligent, and he has to be for polygyny to work, but it's not going to work if he has wives that lack emotional intelligence. So it's absolutely the cornerstone. Is absolutely crucial. It's even needed. It's honestly needed for monogamous relationships to work out, and we know how often those fail. So that tells you a lot of people don't have emotional intelligence. I would agree. So it's crucial.
when you said so transparent moment, I remember having a conversation with Jared where I was saying to him, like, I really didn't know what I was doing because I was used to practicing dysfunctional poly. And one of the things that helped me with emotional intelligence, with coming in with polygyny, was, like, to be honest, to come into it asking myself if I could handle polyandry. Meaning, because it was different for me because of the work that my wife does. So I had to be, I was already practicing a form of it anyway. So it was like, which at the time I didn't know, but getting more educated on it, you know. So I had to ask myself, okay, well, if I'm gonna practice polygyny, in order for me not to possess my wives or my wives, I have to be open for them to hold space for other black men, even not on an intimate way, but in a sense of uplifting them, being there for them, having
Community.
emotional
That's a
commitment.
fact. That's community.
So to make sure, us as true leaders, if the best of black men will be able to practice polygyny, right? So it's our emotional intellect, and as we named it in the flyer, was emotional well,
Yeah, Yeah, emotional, intuitive abilities.
Intuitive abilities.
Because I kind of don't even, I'm sorry, I'm going to try to talk as little as possible, I swear. But I really don't even like emotional intelligence. Like, I don't even like those two things together, because emotion, not logic. Like, when we're talking about the realm of women and emotions, and emotions just not logic. It's the realm of illogic. You can't explain it logic.
That's a fact. I think a better word would be wisdom, because you have to know how to deal with your own emotions as a man, but then to be able to deal with one woman. They say in Islam, especially in the Quran, don't look for multiple wives if you can't deal with monogamy. If you can't master monogamy, you shouldn't even be in polygyny. So mastering monogamy, that's including the emotional wisdom to be able to, because a woman is so emotional, we have to be that logic and not be triggered, because that's what happens a lot of times, and that's why arguments in stir is because men be triggered because they don't have the emotional wisdom to know that, okay, this is a woman,
Right.
and this is her function. You know what I'm saying? They just taking it, of course, how they deal with their friends, their male friends, and it's not gonna. You have to know this is what a woman makeup is. This is where her power lies, and it's your duty to help her to learn how to master her emotions.
Right.
Because once a woman masters her emotions, she becomes the most powerfulest being in the universe. Because that's her only weakness. Her only weakness is her emotions.
Right.
You understand? So I agree with the intelligence, because intelligence is logic. It's like boom, like you know what I'm saying? People do things in emotions that logic could be like, why do you even do that? Like
Oh, go ahead, Jerry.
That is one of the biggest obstacles, because even a woman, even a misguided woman is, as you said, black women, the most beautiful, most powerful thing in the universe. Even a misguided black woman is powerful, and that's why a man has to be so secure, because she can get emotional in her emotions, and she's powerful in that, and she could drag you into emotions, and that's when you have that, and that's why it's a very touchy area, because a woman needs the guidance, but she's also this powerful thing. And so if you're not careful as a man, you're not secure, you're not solid, her power of emotion can actually control the man, and you see that a lot. But that's part of the deconstruction that we have to do with the conditioning. Is back to the other point, is the semantics. We have to deal with things like you said, emotional intelligence. That's semantics. Those are words that we got to kind of speak to because of the semantics, because of the language. They make no sense, but we got to speak to them. It's like toxic masculinity. It's like, misogyny, and these things that we got to talk about and tackle and try to deconstruct, because it's semantics and it's wording that they're using.
That's a fact.
And dealing with the most powerful, most beautiful thing in the universe, it's difficult. It's difficult. And so it's a lot going on. It's a lot that we have to do. And it does take a very, very, very high level man here to be able to navigate that. Because we already know what the black women are. We already know the world has showed us, history has showed us what the black woman is and what she possesses. And so it's really up to us to kind of meet them where they are and do what we got to do.
But you know what though? That's facts though, Jerry, because that's why I like the word wisdom and intuitive, because what is intuition is a heightened sense of power, precognitive feelings and visions. So like my wife, it goes past like your regular sensory system. You know, so
it cannot. Okay, I was just gonna say that for people who may consider themselves black or of indigenous descent or African descent, we have a sixth sense. So I can't speak for other people, and I'm very clear about that. Other groups of men, I don't know. I come from the seed of a black man. I don't know about other races of men, but I do know black men have a sixth sense. And
7, 8, 9.
yeah, so
Facts.
if he have the 6%, he's not gonna be misguided by a woman, a black woman who is in her emotions, because by default she's not even in her power. She has surrendered her power to something that beyond her understanding. She's being used by something. I'm an oracle, so I know I do this work. You know, they'll try to explain all this stuff with intellect, but they're being used by something. They're still emotional, and they surrender their power. So it gets into some deep metaphysical esoteric stuff. But I just wanted to say that, you know, it's not that that part isn't that difficult to understand, that you know, melanated men have the 6th sense. You know, they're in tune with that. So that's your power. That's your greatest power. Okay, but I wanted to go to now the next point. Okay, so now the logical execution of polygamy. Because I saw this video, and it was a woman, as a sister, she was doing a video on this, but I just wanted to talk about, Jerry made this comment on here, and then I wanted him to go more into detail about it. So he said, I'd like to add that women underestimate their role in polygamy working. Most think that men basically have to be perfect or rich in order to do polygamy. But in fact, the women's relationship with one another and contribution to everything well-being of a polygamous marriage is literally a cornerstone in it. Confidence, selflessness, and a desire to put the family and the benefits of everyone in first is most crucial in this actually being executed. Okay, so Jerry.
Yeah, so, you know, I think it really has to do with me trying to get black women to understand how important they are in the big picture. And so this messed up view of polygamy that we have today, and we see it online, we used to see it, well, we still see it in like the hip hop culture and things like that. It was very, very toxic forms of poly being practiced and shown, right? And that is not where it originally came from. Speaking of which, polygamy was actually the original form of marriage. And it was when civilization started to develop and marriage became a thing, the first original forms of marriage during the times of matriarchs was invented by women. It was in polygyny. It was in polygyny form, and one man, multiple wives. But this is something that women constructed. And so what we have now is we have toxic poly going on, where women are led to believe that this man could be a horrible man. He could have no emotional intelligence. He could have no, mental strength, but he's got money, or he has fame, or he has, power in that sense. And then he could totally be disruptive to universal law. But if he has money, if he pays for this, if he presents me in a certain way, then he gets access to multiple women, right? So I wanted to highlight, and women will actually be okay with that. But I wanted to highlight that the fact that, women in general, for poly to work the right way, it actually has to have, the women have to be here. They have to have no jealousy, no competition with the fellow woman in the relationship. They shouldn't even be intimidated. They should truly be connected to the collective of the entire family, working, putting the family unit first, and literally working every day to look out for the children, the husband, their sister wives, in a completely holistic way. No competition, not looking at this woman as like, oh, she's an enemy, she's against me, or what's her agenda, or, you know what I'm saying? And so I put that comment that way because I feel like oftentimes poly is presented that the man got to be rich. How much money he got? I'll deal with it if he can pay for this. Shoot, how much is he gonna give me my own place? He gonna fund my shopping sprees. If he do that, I'll put up with it. Meanwhile, she's not growing.
And
She's not even grown. She's not growing as who she is. It's like it's weird to me because it's like how? Like, how did we get this far to this? To where it's even, it's actually shown in a positive light. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, you know, at least he's paying for it. And she's like, you know what I'm saying? And then we'll even have it on the other hand where if he has enough money, the women will put up with it. Like him having his side pieces and stuff like that. It's like, oh, it's okay. But she's the wife though. She got the title. Meanwhile, he's practicing toxic poly. She's accepting toxic polygamy around the realm of money. And that's what I was trying to highlight is like, that is not what it is. It's not what it was supposed to be.
I want to chime in on that. That right there is something I chime in a lot with the sisters. The sisters that I run into, of course, on a regular basis, they have been programmed with that. That's, you know, but that's just another way to stop us from coming together. All this misinformation, and not to go off subject, but to chime back to the words. That's why the more study etymology, and it's important that we teach our women etymology so they can start to break down the science of these words and understanding the pitfalls that the English language have set up for us. You feel what I'm saying? And the money situation, I had some African brothers that I was dealing with, and we was just talking about polygamy. They was telling me about their wives. They was telling me they was from Nigeria, and they was telling me about, you know, everyday life, the pitfalls that they have come across when they come across a new wife. So they laughed at me, and they was like, the Europeans got you guys over there thinking you can't have multiple wives because you need money. Well, he said, in Africa, how many men do you think got money and they got multiple wives? That doesn't make the whole point of coming together is to build that wealth. We're so fixated on the piece of paper with the European face on it, but what happens when that no longer exists? What happens when it's a barter system? What happens when we have to trade with other families? What do you base my ability of having multiple wives on then? What is it based on then? If there's no more fake fiat, because we all know the fiat is fake, it is not backed by no gold, it's fake. So when we wake up from this illusion, what makes me a reliable husband and man? What are the qualities? That's what the women need to ask themselves. Minus the money, because the money don't matter. We could get the money could go away and we could get Bitcoin. The Bitcoin could go away and we could get this. Like, that doesn't matter. The quality of the man, what is he doing? Is he a leader? Does he have ambition? Does he treat you right? Does he pray? Does he meditate? Does he have emotional wisdom? Do he have spiritual wisdom? You feel me? So that's a good point right there. I love that right there. We need that. We need that. We need that.
Absolutely. He said that perfectly. Did you want to add on to that?
No.
Okay. I was just gonna briefly just add on. Me and my father was speaking on this topic, and my dad brought up a really good point. And he was saying, in this, we weren't talking about polygamy necessarily, but we were just talking about this concept of men being 100% providers and like role split between financial contributions of a family, regardless if it's monogamy or polygamy. And my father was like, well, really, it just depends on the type of lifestyle the woman or the women are trying, like what is the vision of the lifestyle they're trying to live. Like it's like oh, I want to live like, you know, Cardi B or Megan Thee Stallion or this famous person, and I'll do polygamy if I get that. No, polygamy is not for you. No, absolutely not.
Absolutely not.
I want to say something to everything y'all said, right? But see, I thought polygamy was about uplifting the black man.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So like when women come into it like that,
yep,
and it's about sisterhood and uplifting black men,
yeah,
right? And generational health and wealth.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So when women come into it and they're not looking at the priceless assets of life, like you said, the attributes of a man.
Mhm.
Is he compassionate? Is he does he have emotional IQ? Is he have, does he have these things that money can't buy?
Mm-hmm.
But they're already coming into it with a materialistic mentality. Like, what can he do for me? How can he do for this for me? They're defeating this counter-revolutionary.
And
Yeah.
also put that too. That's looking at a Black man as a utility, as a property. What can you do for me? That is feminist, right? So polygamy is not for you in that case, right? Because it's spirit. That's what we're saying. Because it's like, okay, you see these qualities in our men. You want to see them the top. You want to see our president be a Black man, right? Mm-hmm. So you're like, I'm going to pull that out of him. It may take, 10, 20 years for us to manifest this vision, but that's what you're going for. It's the intent in your heart. Is that true love of the men who look like you, right? If you don't have that, it's not for you. And I wouldn't want nobody in my tribe is going to be like that. We don't accept women like that.
That's a fact. What they said. They said. Oh, I see. Yeah.
Somebody, I wanted to touch on somebody said in the comments. Somebody left a comment in here.
Okay.
But
they said we're not black. We're not Black community. Need to stop addressing ourselves as Black. And like, we got to be careful with that stuff, right? Because it's another thing to like, we're gonna harp on like the division of little things. Like what we doing? Like we really don't need to do that. Like we really don't have to do that. We understand collectively as Black, or however you, sub-Saharan diaspora, whatever you want to call it, we understand it collectively over the world, what happened, and we understand what this is. People do want to call it different names. We shouldn't harp on that too much to provide division. I just wanted to touch on that real quick. But to the point where about because somebody also asked in polygamy, like, in the comments about how is it to uplift the Black man?
You saw that, right, Jerry? You saw that one.
Yeah, they were saying like, how so? And the thing is,
how so? How does
okay.
Black men?
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
I just wanted to touch on it, and I wanted to give a little bit of my experience. So, just in general, we can easily answer that, because uplifting the family or doing the things that I said that everyone's supposed to be doing in it, that's going to uplift the Black man. The Black man literally identifies with his family. Right. Literally, like I'm married, I have children, and when that happened, when that transition happened in my life, my priorities changed. How I was still me, but this is literally an extension of me. It's literally an extension of me, expanded more. So anything that is beneficial to my children or my wife or my wives is literally uplifting me. It's literally like, building attributes onto yourself. And so, but back to the issues with Asha, what you were saying about women coming in and not being ready for polygamy.
Hold on.
I've had
1 second. Let's stay there for 1 second.
Go ahead.
Stay there for 1 second. She said, "How is that uplifting Black women?" Let's start here.
She said, "How is it uplifting Black women?"
So no, Black men. I'm sorry. Let's before we go there, let's stay there for 1 second, because I like what you said. Mm-hmm. Right? Who's the most incarcerated in America?
Black man.
Who's the most high percentage in child support court?
Black man.
Who's the most murdered by police in America?
Black man.
Now, does that define Black men?
No.
No.
Define Black men. I'm a Black man on camera right now talking to you, and I've been to the penitentiary. I've been through dysfunctional poly. I went through so much trauma vetting women with my wife, just being involved in dysfunctional poly all of my life, mm-hmm. that I had to work through trauma just to see two Black women in harmony together, talking mm-hmm. with me in peace, inner peace, and gathering with each other. I had to work through so much trauma, and I got to an ascended place just seeing that through sisterhood mm-hmm. and poly. Right? Because all my life, all I saw was dysfunction. Mm-hmm. I made these mistakes, right? But you know what? But you know what uplifted me the most? Two black women coming together to uplift me.
Mm-hmm.
All of that, because they like, nah, that's not define this man. This man has the attributes that he is worthy. Because all of that, because I wouldn't even known he went through that based on who he is today, right? So the uplifting of the black, because we're the most targeted for oppression. Not that, of course, our sisters as well. As far as, but black women are doing very well in the corporate world. They're the most educated. They're doing all right in this system. Not to say they should be a part of it in a sense of like what we're trying to build on a sovereign nation type of tip. But if we want to be logical about getting out of this, the keys to it are held by the black women. So why not switch our mentality? Say, well, let's uplift our men and get our men to the place, the ones who are worthy.
Right.
With
My example ties right into what you're saying right now. Like, so I've had experience with women who wanted to come in as wives, and they were intimidated, by the very thing that black women naturally should be doing and naturally should be in their power. Like, women have gotten so far from their strength and what they naturally are designed to do that it intimidates them. Like, it intimidates them. So, like I said, I've had experience with women where they're coming in and they're saying like that they were intimidated by a family already being established, or children and things like that, and not feeling like that they would be able to meet it. They wouldn't be good in there, right? But that's literally what a black woman is. The power of understanding, of nurturing, the connection between the sisterhood with black women. And we're saying that this is to uplift black men, but just imagine how healing it is and uplifting it is for black women in the community between black women.
I want to also add something too, though. So initiations, I had to see this for myself. They're not stupid. That they say those things to be a victim, to avoid responsibility, to not be taught. That these things that they, and I'm not saying this woman in particular, I'm just saying in general, though, the evidence and what we can see is so clear, right? They're talking about black men couldn't hold that status without black feminists being an agent to. Couldn't do it. That's what they opt into. So you're saying, okay, they're doing great in the corporate world and all this stuff, is waving their single flag. But what was the trade-off? To declare war on black men, to put them in that position so they can do that. If your men stay here, you can get here, right? It's active war.
All of it is connected. All of it is connected. It's war. We at war.
We are in war. I like to frame that so that, men coming into this, I've seen it. I see it happen so much. Like, do not, I swear, they will put spells on you. They will act like a victim. They will act like they don't know. They're stupid. They're playing dumb. No, it's so obvious. The day and time that we're in. No, I would be very cautious about, those kind of things. If they're saying something is established and they don't know and all this. No,
One thing.
Yeah, go ahead.
One thing, if I could bring up, I want to bring up that the idea that women stayed home and took care of children, and men worked and paid all the bills, did not come from Africa. It did not come from indigenous culture. That came from European culture. We have adopted that because when you look back before European interruption, men were hunter-gatherers. We went out. We got skins. We did all the hard work. Okay, so we gone a week at a time, 2 weeks at a time. Who's doing the work? Who was the farmers? The women were the money makers because they was the farmers. When we didn't have money, the money was the food. It was what we was bartering. Who controlled the bartering? The farmers. Who were the farmers? It wasn't the men. The men didn't farm on when we talking, we're not talking about individual, we talking about percentages. Large percentages of men did not farm.
Right.
When we seen pictures of women with the babies on their backs in the field hoeing, remember, pimping and hoeing was a derivative of polygamy. Now listen, what's so crazy is the hoe, what the woman is using to make to till the soil to feed her family is where we get that. Who taught us that? Who taught us to call a woman a hoe? Where did we get the hoe from? So through research, I found in hieroglyphics, the hoe was the symbol of the woman in hieroglyphics because she was the farmer, the hoe. So you see how the European has twisted it? It's straight war. That's what it is. They have been at war with us the whole time, and they still at war with us. And we think it's, we think this is life, but this is not life. This is war.
Yeah,
All wars.
More wet. Now, not to cut you off, more. I want you to get right to it. That's why I wanted to stay here before Jerry switched the subject, because the deep spiritual warfare that's going on,
and it's
very
for us.
Yes, it's
because
very deep.
Somebody else made a comment about, like, let me go, because this is important to talk about. Like, if you are not someone who look like us and you're watching this live, right? Like, this concept that, it's not just us and the people wars and all this other stuff. No, there is a spiritual warfare that's going on amongst us. It's something that is beyond another person's understanding, because our people who look like us, our strength is spirituality. We are the portal race. We're the portal racial group.
Let me speak to that for a second.
That it's important.
The war has been declared on divine black masculinity.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So, but we're up here, we're talking about emotional, intuitive abilities. We're talking about how to be steadfast within polygyny, and we're standing in our masculinity. Right now, at this moment, there are feminist women who are befriending homosexual black men before they would develop a relationship with a man who has emotional IQ and can deal with the emotional alchemy and all the biochemistry that comes with it, to be able to better understand her and be shunned by all, because we want to be masculine men, all because we want to be worthy of being able to deal with multiple women, because we know that they need husbands for us to build nations, for us to build properly the way that we need. But the spiritual war is upon us. And here we are as warriors, standing strong on what it is that we know is going to be a solution for our people, because we know it's not even about us.
And let me add this, because I've seen this, and among the spiritual warfare, I've seen Black women come in to try to infiltrate and disguising and saying that they will come in as polygamy, but their whole intent is to separate that husband from that first wife. It is fact, and they'll use these terms. Oh, it's a lot there. I don't have any children. That's too much for me. I don't know. And then he get her like a little girl victim, right? Her whole plan, she just plotting on him. She just plotting to separate this family, to break this family up. I'm telling you, that's the warfare. That's what's going on in our communities. I've seen it happen. I'm seeing it happen in real time. You all need to look. Yeah,
it's the Matrix. It's the Matrix. The Matrix was written by a woman who's Cherokee, right? She's a Moor. That movie, Terminator, she wrote Terminator and she wrote The Matrix. The Matrix is happening right now. The agents, it's the people you gotta watch. It's the people, because that's why in the movie, an agent could turn into a regular person at a flick of a second, because it's the people. So even though we're trying to liberate our people, we have to know and understand that they are so caught up and embedded into the Matrix that they will take it down. They will take you down. They will destroy your family if they can, if you allow it. But we can't allow that.
Yeah,
I think that people are naturally talking about this. Yes, because that is the right way. She's justifying when additional wives need to go through the first wife. That is correct. Because she put in those years, right? Let's say that she put in 8 years of this marriage. You coming in, she's teaching you. It should be like that. Yes.
Of course.
Because that on you haven't came in and done what she did. And I wrote this in the Sister Wife ebook. You have no right and no predisposition to come into something like that and to feel some type of way about it. She put in those hard years to help this man become who he is to take on the second wife. So yes, you do have to go through the first wife. That is absolutely.
I think the first wife intuition should be used to choose the second, third, and fourth. Absolutely. Because that's the whole reason why they oracles. Y'all are natural oracles. You can sense when a woman wants to do the right thing. You can sense when a woman is working from the heart chakra.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Me, I might be caught up in the eyes, I might be caught up in the legs, or I might be caught up in things that don't really solidify what type of position they could play in the family. But it's the women, like my mother. Mother used to always have these dreams, and she was never wrong. She used to have these dreams, and she used to tell me, and I used to be like, yeah, all right, ma. But she was never wrong. So us as men, we have to hand that power over to the woman and say, yo, listen, use your divine intuition. And even taking it a step further, we don't deal with religion, but to take it a step further on a spiritual, on a high science spiritual plane, you want women to be able to connect with their ancestors and ask their ancestors, show me if she is proper. Because the ancestors could see what we can't see. They could see spiritual things. They just could see that we can't see. So it's good to have a wife that's connected that she can ask.
Absolutely. I can bear witness to that, Moab, because my spiritual gifts have increased by way of just being around my wife's spiritual energy and tapping into my premonition gifts, because a woman intuition is real. Like, for example, like you were saying, like through the dreams, through the subconscious mind, you impress your subconscious mind, small tasks, and you strengthen it, which was going to open up your intuition. I'm a strong believer that with a woman's intuition, if she's using it functionally, like to the benefit of the man, that's how we contact God. And then through the prayer and meditation, and then through the intuition, if you have no blockages, that's how he telephone you back. So it's like on the woman that has a real strong intuition, and she's not using it to violate your privacy, to go through your phone, to look if she's not using it for intuition to truly elevate you as a man, your spiritual gifts are just going to go through the roof. It's some things about my spiritual gift that I was unsure about. I had some uncertainty, but just being around a woman who's serious about her spirituality, she does her subconscious mind training, she does her meditation, and she's constantly strengthening her true, pure intentions of her intuition, of her intuitive abilities. It has taken my spiritual gifts to the next level. It just makes me more confident. It makes me more confident in the creator with me and contacting with the super consciousness, man. It's really real.
Let me talk about. I want to talk about the ancestors, because we so often thoroughly underestimate how powerful it is to be able to be open enough to connect to the ancestors. Now, you'll have people with European indoctrinated belief systems. They don't like that. They don't like us saying ancestors. They don't like that. They want us to say God and this and that. But the ancestors is energy that is free from bias and emotion, that has lived through a life. And if we can tap into that, it's one of the most powerful energies to guide us in the right direction, because there's no jealousy, there's no bias with ancestral energy and knowledge and wisdom. If we can tap into that, if we can open our vessel to be able to tap into the ancestors,
that's a fact.
They're going to tell you, they're going to give you the guidance, because they've seen it, they know the mistakes, and their energy from thousands and thousands and thousands of years is working collectively. And if you can tap into it, you're going to get the best guidance you can get. But it's about being able to tap into it, and that's the whole thing. And doing things like you know, meditation, being healthy of the mind and the body, connecting with the right people around you, especially the women that you're in contact with, and them being open to open you up to be able to connect to that, because it's one of the most powerful forms of guidance that you can tap
Oh,
into.
That's
okay.
a fact.
All right. So we got to get to a really important topic. So the last topic, but before we get there, the spirit definitely want me to talk about this real quick. This was a comment under Jerry's comment that I read earlier, and it's from a woman. And I see this pretty often, right? She says, I'm open to polygamy as long as he's secure enough for polygamy on my end. So I want to make a comment and say that that's a very feminist ideology. If you think like that going in, polygamy is not for you, period. Because you're thinking like a juvenile. You lack a level of understanding of what it is in the first place. If you're saying, it's like a 2-year-old. He do that, so I do this. Okay,
Yeah.
push you aside. Nope, this ain't for you. It's not. You're thinking about yourself. You're not thinking about a community. You're not thinking about. You don't even see the big picture. You're thinking individualistic.
Yeah.
It's not. That's it. Okay.
Let's get to chopping this fable, because that is a reactionary thing to just be like, oh, okay, I'm gonna do it too. And it's like you said, they're not even interested. They don't have any concept. It's selfish.
Want to uplift
Just like
black men.
Yeah.
That's
They don't want to uplift black men.
That's why. Yeah. That's where it comes from.
And it can't even work like that in universal law. It just cannot. It can't work that way. Or if it could, then we would see it. The matriarchs who started it would have practiced it that way for thousands of years, but they didn't. It didn't work that way. It can't work that way. The energies don't flow that way. It can't work that way. It just can't. Unless you're doing some weird, like, toxic stuff, like, you know what I'm saying? But it's not going to work that way naturally, and that's why it hasn't. Nations, kingdoms, amazing things have happened in history. The mathematics, the invention of mathematics and geometry and the first universities, all these things were created by Africans in the realm of polygamy. I think we forget that. I think we forget the things that literally make our world run right now were created in the cradle of civilization in polygamy, in polygyny specifically.
Every songs too.
Yeah.
Every songs.
Proverbs. All these things. Mathematics, the first surgery, science, these were created in societies that practice polygyny.
Polygyny.
Yes.
That's what they were able to accomplish. You know, all of this
That's a fact.
The satellites that, you know, orbit the Earth now, and they want to go into space, and they got AI technology, and they got that because of the things that polygynous black people created. They wouldn't be able to do this without the mathematics that they created. And this was done for polygyny.
Now I want to now we need to really talk about this topic. So I'm gonna have Brother Demetrius. Can you talk about the importance of semen retention for men in practicing and coming into this, right? Because this is exciting.
Oh, yeah.
Indeed so. It's an ancient practice that other cultures around the world have, of course, what I say, stolen from us. Everything, karate, kung fu, all the martial arts come from us. We have lost. We have been the ones that fell from the totem pole. We went from being gods to regular humans. And with that saying, we have lost the science of semen retention. So in my book, Polygyny MoorWet, I bring about the topic of semen retention because a lot of people have this ideology of men, sex is for polygyny is for the man's fulfillment and sex, and it's impossible because one woman can go forever, and we know that we cannot go forever. Men, we don't want to go forever, and we don't go forever. But for a man to be able to keep up with multiple women and not tap in on his reserves, because the reason why we look the way we look as young brothers is because I'm sure all three of us here preserve our semen. You know what I'm saying? I got young brothers that look older than me, but they always looking for the next piece of yoni. They always looking to have sex. They having sex every day. And they releasing a seed, releasing the seed. So we have lost the knowledge of the seed being the pinnacle of life for the man. His immune system is stronger when he retains his seed. His skin glows when he retains his seed. Now, a man that can have sex for hours and still retain his seed is a different type of man. That's stud to the 10th power because he never releases. He never loses.
Add something too, because I know I come from a spiritual community where I learned tantra, and I have talked with Black men who told me how they got into it, and they said a woman is doing a tantra on them, and they're experiencing a orgasm like an ejaculation internally. So I was talking to a brother named Paul. He's like, I felt it go all the way up to the top of my head. And he like, sign me up for this. Like, how you do this? Like, let me get some more of this, right? The tantra. So I just wanted to add that part. I am a tantra practitioner, and I do teach it for women. Having orgasms like that. That's the missing ingredient that this is in our DNA to do this too. This is higher forms of sex. All right, go ahead, brother. I'm sorry.
I want to add, and I don't want to cut your knowledge because I want you to continue, but I do want to add, it's actually, because people doubt this, but it is measurable. Like, it's measurable. Like, they've done tests where they'll measure when you do practice semen retention, you have a boost in your testosterone. They can measure these things, and then plus what you feel. Like, there's a reason you touched on martial arts. Like, I've studied martial arts since I was like 7 years old, and the first styles of martial arts I studied were African styles of martial arts. It absolutely started in Africa. But the semen retention, it's the reason why they say, like, you feel it too. Like, you'll feel it when you do let it go. The next day you'll feel little less energy. That's why they say don't, like when you got a boxing match or something like that, or you got a big game or something, they say don't do it. But it's measurable. Like, if people want to talk about the spiritual aspect of it, it's actually physically measurable, the benefits that it has.
That's a fact.
Your knowledge. Go
I
ahead.
also found out that it has something to do with brain function. So if we the leaders and we the thinkers and we coming in and we trying to use that logic, we lose all logic when we lose our seed. Just a little bit of logic goes with that seed. Just a little bit of life goes with that seed. So to preserve our life, we need to be preserving our seed. To also be able to satisfy multiple women, we need to preserve our seed. So for me to be able to have sex with 2 women in one day, 3 women in 3 days, I would have to be conserving my seed. Because like he said, once you release that, the next day, you're not going to be your full potential. You're not going to be operating to your full potential. So a lot of people don't understand that. Another thing is women, right, have to understand their power comes from being exclusive. You lose power by having, that's why when women say, oh, if he could do it, I could do it. I can have multiple husbands. Okay, so why you in 5th grade, you didn't have multiple boyfriends out in the open? Why didn't you carry on like that? It's not a woman's nature to have multiple sex partners. And it also diminishes her power. Exclusive. When she's exclusive, she's powerful. When a man has, actually, we are born to want multi. You know what I'm saying? I got 1 million sperm cells. They can't be just for you. Especially if you only want 2, 3 kids. If I create 1 million sperm cells, like nature shows all the answers is in nature. All the answers is in nature.
I believe if semen retention is if it's directly correlating with neurogenesis, that will probably be the reason why the Christ consciousness comes in. Right, one of the first things he did was fast for 40 days and 40 nights before he even went into his ministry. To make that, you see what I'm saying? Because the Christos, the consciousness to.
Yeah.
You see what I mean, Jared?
Mm-hmm.
So that would make sense that it is directly connected to your cognitive function.
But
That's interesting.
I'm gonna say, like, we practicing it. So we're out of religion, right? We mastered that. We graduated the religious school. This is spiritual polygamy. So we'll that we know time.
No. Yeah.
40 days without getting your dick sucked. Please don't do that.
But to that, but to that,
well, I'm gonna help you.
But to that point, no, you're right. No, you're right.
I'll just
I feel, and that's a great point though. That is because it's gonna happen. So because off the religious part, who's to say? Okay, who's to say you fast forward? That doesn't include that means that you're not indulging in sexual action. If you are indulging in sexual action, you're just not releasing. You're practicing semen retention.
Right.
Directly correlate to your neurogenesis process and the neurons in your brain. So therefore, sometimes I even have sex with my wife to gain more creative ideas.
That's what I was about to say, brother. That's what I was about to say. We don't understand that that's a form of prayer.
You feel me? Come on.
Sex is a form of prayer. Just because, okay, if he fasted for 40 days and 40 nights, he probably was single at the time. He didn't have Mary Magdalene. But a part of connecting to the ethers and connecting to the spirit world, you go faster when you have a woman who's at that level with you. And in the sexual moments, they say angels is present. Angels is present. So if you want to talk about religion and sex, nowhere in African science did we say, yo, don't have no sex, or sex is bad.
Right.
No, you can have sex, but the best thing to do is not to release the semen. And even if you do release the semen once, we human, and it takes time. It's like riding a bike. You're not gonna get it the first time. You're gonna fall off. You're gonna, you know what I'm saying? Don't feel no kind of way. Just get back on that thing and do it again. Feel me? Go right back at it.
Yeah.
So I actually teach this, like when I counsel men in the realm of, learning to come into polygamy and their fitness, their mental health, building their confidence. I actually teach this. I teach them to fast, and I give them time periods, like for how long. And fasting doesn't always mean refraining. There's different ways to fast. Some of the best ways is to not eat any calories, just fluid, water, right? That's the best way. You have various ways to fast. You can fast from certain things. And then I have them practice, semen retention as well. And that's a form of fasting. And like you guys said, like you can still have sexual activity, and you should, while you're practicing semen retention, right? But you're doing it for maybe you do it for 2 weeks, or maybe you do it for a month, and you can build on that. That's a way to practice towards it. Sex is absolutely a spiritual experience, and it can be used for multiple things. I had a song that I did one time where I was talking about when the spirits being in the wind during sex, and it's true. And so the semen retention part is really, really key, because it's just another thing that opens your consciousness to be able to connect to bigger, deeper things, the ancestors, so on and so forth. It also, like I said, the measurable things that it can do, like I notice my reaction time's faster. I feel stronger. I can lift more. I can, things are more heightened, right? And there is a time and place to release. It is. You may even go a period of time where you release multiple times in one day. Like there's a time for that. Like there's a time for feasting. There's a time for fasting. And the time when you do release, like maybe you release 3 times that day. And that's your feasting period. But then you get back on and you fast. You build that back up again. It's a science, and it's a ritual to everything, especially semen retention.
I want to chime in too I want to say that somebody asked, do we get blue balls? So I want to respond to that is when a man is practicing the spiritual science of semen retention, there's no such thing as blue balls. We don't experience discomfort from not releasing because we're still having orgasms. We just having internal orgasms. I've had some of the biggest and most fulfilling orgasms without releasing my semen.
Yeah.
And what happens is there's a practice in Asia, again, but it's ours, but they have the actual documents to show you step by step on how to take the semen back into yourself. And when that happens, like the brother was saying, it can ignite Kundalini. When we take the semen back into ourselves, it uncoils the Kundalini and shoots up our spine straight to our pineal gland. So our pineal is in operation. The whole nervous system, including the brain, is all in unison with this process of what's going on. And it's important that women are taught what's going on. So in the actual process and action of doing the sex, they can mentally connect and see and understand, okay, this is what's going on in him.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? And vice versa. Because there's a process, there's an alchemy that happens with women as well.
That's a
Very important.
biochemical truth right there. It goes back to what we was talking about with when we was talking about how when the sexual energy, like you said, the crystals, it travels up the spine, but then that woman about uplifting black men, the neuroendocrine transducer, which is the third eye, the pineal gland, she promotes that within the man to uplift him, to enlighten that pineal down, geometrically centered in the middle of the brain, to uplift us, to enlighten pineal, to get that, so that transducer can pick up on the EMF, the wind, the spirits in the wind, the signals from the creator to pick up. That's why we pick up on these ideas and what they call resonance and these things. This is the antenna to get that. So the black women need to know this on a deeper biochemical level on how we're up our men.
Yeah,
to be able to.
Yeah, we gotta communicate with them too, because you know, women, if they don't understand what's going on, they could be offended because they want that seed. They want it. They want it. It's a powerful exchange, and they want it.
Yeah.
And so if you're doing that, you know, you have to bring them into the understanding of what's going on, why you're doing it, because they can be offended. They can be.
That's another agent.
Yeah.
That's an agent. She's an agent. She don't even know it. I'm saying to her, yo, I'm not gonna release my semen. You're not gonna release your semen. I want that semen. You crazy? What, you don't love me? What, you not having a good time?
No, hold on.
They think coming is synonymous with having a good time.
Yeah. So but that's what I'm saying. That leads into the miseducation, right? them being offended, and not so much like just what I'm saying is like them being miseducated about what sex is or what have you. And I'm specifically speaking to, obviously not us. I'm speaking to people coming into this, right? Men and women coming into this. I'm speaking to them. Like, you need to educate these women if you're trying to bring them into this and what you're doing. You need to let them understand, because they're not going to have an understanding of it, especially the lost ones. So they may be thinking like, oh, if he doesn't do this, then this didn't feel good to him, or I was whack, or whatever it may be. But that's where you gotta educate. That's why I wanted to bring it to the light, is for the people who are listening or coming into this and wanting to get, and wanting to develop more in this way. Not so much like you actively in something or whatever, and they still trying to, cut your building because, they're just trying to be an agent, like you said. I'm talking about people coming into this and not being here yet.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
That's a fact.
Exactly why I teach women Tantra. because of that. You know, it's for that higher form of, like you said, to get the man to the higher level, because women, it is becoming in a day and time where women are naturally starting to talk about this, even if they don't know tantra. It's just hitting the ethers of female humans, feminine energy on the planet, where it's just like, yeah, we want these higher intimate sexual energies and all this, but they're not right, where they're being led by something, but it's like, no, it's to get back center here, because you're serving the divine masculine, you're trying to get him higher, so that's why you're using it. It's not for a selfish thing, right? So
and Mathuna, I speak about Mathuna in my book Polygyny MoorWet, because a lot of people don't know the Moors are descendants of Kemet. So everything Moorish science is dealing with Kemet. We're not claiming to be Arab Muslims and all that. We're not claiming that. We claiming to be the descendants of Kemet. And in Kemet, there's a practice called Mathuna, Maithuna. And this is when Pharaoh actually had these Kama Sutra sessions with his wives, and they manifested for the kingdom. They didn't just manifest for themselves.
Right.
That's why when I say to, to women that come in and they like, well, it's about me. No, like Nefertiti, because Cleopatra was half European. Nefertiti was King Tut's mother. Nefertiti, was stepmother. Nefertiti had daughters. So she had sister wives. Her sister wife was the mother of King Tut. So if this is the pinnacle of the most strongest woman, and we wearing her earrings and chains, and I'm an independent black African woman, Nefertiti, well, guess what? Nefertiti practiced collectivism. She did things with sister wives, where they also interacted with the pharaoh and used sexual energy, because sexual energy is very powerful. It's it's one of the most powerfulest force that we can tap into to manifest on this earthly plane. And Pharaoh used to practice Mathuna. That's my point. Pharaoh used to practice Mathuna with his wives.
Get your book. Can you pin it?
Definitely. I'll put it in the comments for you. It's on Amazon, Polygyny MoorWet. And although I haven't personally experienced polygamy, because I'm not married yet, but what I did was I used personal experience. I like the words you use with toxic polygamy. That's what I was practicing. I was a womanizer. I was a player. I thought this was what I needed to do. I thought this is what made me a man. You feel me? This is before I came into my science. A little bit about me. Of course, I'm born Christian. Went to prison at a young age, 14 years old. Met the God bodies, the 5%ers, got into the 5% lessons. Moved on, was an Israelite for 10 years. And then now I'm dealing with more science. I don't claim nothing because all of it is ours. So I've been through, you see I've been through multiple schools of thought, and this is what got me to this point where I am now. And I think that polygamy is something that people definitely need to, whether you want to be involved in it or not, when you get to the nitty-gritty of polygamy, it's a spiritual practice. It's a spiritual practice because it has to deal with a lot of checking yourself spiritually, checking all your demons, greed, selfishness, gluttony, all of these things that we deal with on a day-to-day basis in that struggle against the good and evil within ourselves. Even the wives dealing with each other, you feel me? And the husband dealing with the wives and being just. Like all of that is needed in monogamy.
Right.
How about that? Forget polygamy. Those principles that ancient polygamy brings to the table needs to be fostered into monogamy because they're not there. They're not there.
Absolutely. I think we got to get on here and have another maybe another conversation for another day to dig deeper into Moors, because I know Moors get a bad rap, and rightfully so. I've studied Moors history, and there's a lot of different divisions and sects and history of Moors, and oftentimes they get a very bad rap. You brought up a good point about the Moors that you are connected with are descended from Egypt, you know. And
Well,
see,
I don't want to cut your bill, but let's get to it real quick.
yeah,
Let's get to it real quick. Like
This is
Moor is a title, right? That is actually in the Egyptian Book of the Dead. Now we know how old the Egyptian Book of the Dead is, coming forth by day, going forth by night. That's a very old book. Moor, the title Moor, is written in hieroglyphics in that book.
right.
And the meaning of the word is the keepers of the light. Now let's break it down. Keepers of what light? Now we see Pharaoh, we see depictions of ancient Cometians with their hands up in the sunlight coming down. The European would explain to us and say that we worship the sun. They didn't worship the sun. They knew the science behind the connection of the melanin in your skin and the sun. So Moor, when people look up Moor, of course, Google's ran by Bill Gates and the Europeans. So they're going to put whatever they want. Oh, Moor were Berbers, Moors sold their people in slavery, Moors was this, Moors was that. But to break it down, and when you do your own research and really dig deep, Moor goes all the way back to then.
Oh,
Keepers spelled M-U-U-R, not M-O-O-R,
right,
but
right.
they're all derivatives of the, because when you're dealing with linguistics, and you're dealing with etymology and the science of words, all the Moors are derivatives of the same thing. They just, over time, are being spelt different and being said a little different. But M-U-U-R, M-O-O-R, M-A-U-R, M-O-O-R-E, we got some people with the Moor last name. Their families are derivatives of Moors. Now, the Olmecs are even Moors. Easter Island, the headdress. When you look at Easter Island and you look at those statues, you see the headdress. When you look at Imhotep depictions, you see the headdress. Those is fezzes. When you go to old Mesopotamia, you know what I'm saying? Babylon, the Anunnaki, they wore fezzes. So being a Moor is it goes way deeper than what, of course, they tell us.
That's why I think the conversation is important, because Moors, people who took the title of Moors have done horrible things, right?
Of course.
Especially, but they're not the Moors that you're speaking of, right? That's the separation that's needed, is because you have a bunch of Arab Moors, right, that were responsible for slavery and all of that stuff. And then you ever hear the rumor that they said the first president of the United States, or the first president of America, it was before it was the United States, was a black man. They say he was a Moor, right? He was black. But it's not true. The guy maybe had the title of Moor, but he was a white man in some way, shape, or form. And because they associate Moors with only blackness, and that's why they say, oh, black Moors sold their people into slavery. Black Moors were participating in the slave. You know what I'm saying? Black Moors did this.
See, the whole thing is this: like, Moor is your descendant. See, everybody's getting it mixed up because that's just your nationality. You had Chinese people who sold Chinese people into slavery. You know what I'm saying? That doesn't make China bad or being Chinese bad. So it's the same thing for me to say, oh, Moors.
Came out and said they did a public apology to, you know,
the movie with the Woman King.
But people that want to start learning about what y'all talk is by Alvin Van Sertima. Everything that y'all, this is a great book to start on the real history of Moorish empire. That's all you know what I'm saying?
But I think, to Jerry's point, I think it's still important that if something that's just been contaminated, like we take like we have a lot of redefining to do, because like y'all see the video, I don't want to consider myself a Black woman anymore. I mean, they completely take. Now, am I saying like I'm saying I was taught I'm a water woman. Like I belong to the water race of human beings on planet Earth. The way I was taught about racial categories was based on elementals.
But if you look at black, we know words cast spells.
Yeah.
So we know this. If we dealing with that one fact, another fact that one of my Moorish sisters brought up, Moor is not a title, it's a nationality. That's your political nationality. That was the political nationality of all melanin people who fell under the Moorish Empire.
Right.
But when you're dealing with words and you look up the word black, everything that's connotated to the word black, they didn't make that up. The Europeans didn't make that up. That is something that they got from us. Remember, the Moors, the Europeans couldn't read and write. During the Dark Ages, the kings and queens could not read and write. They had fell from grace. After Socrates and the Greeks were taught in Africa, they fell again. That's where the bubonic plague and all of that came from. So now you got to know and understand that they didn't make these words up. They just changed the meanings and changed the power behind the words.
Right.
White and black are caste systems. If you was black, you was poor. If you was white, you was rich. The first white man was Mansa Musa. The whitest white man was Mansa Musa. There will never be another white man like him, because he was the richest man till this day and still is the richest man ever to be known. Now, the first black people were the Balkans. The Balkans were the first people recorded to be called black, and they are the slaves of the Europeans. They were the lowest Europeans, and all the European tribes enslaved the Balkans, and they became black. Somehow, when they created this system here, this education system, they drew off that. Remember, they didn't let us read and write. We had a big war here. There's a Moorish empire that stretched from Egypt to California. That's why California is named after Califia, who is Pharaoh's niece. So if what the Europeans is saying is right, how the hell did Pharaoh's niece rule the island of California? Because she ruled that with an all-woman army. Wonder Woman is about her.
This is what
you understand?
I heard that.
So we gotta know and understand that we had an empire in the United States before the Europeans stepped foot on United States soil. There was a great war that they have removed from the history books. They call it Cowboys and Indians. That's what they call it. But there was a great war here, and we lost. At the time, the Moorish Empire was, that's why you think presidents, when they speak, they have a Moroccan flag and a United States flag. Obama said, I want to thank Morocco because Morocco was the first country to recognize my nation. He was subliminally telling you what the Moors have been trying to tell you for all this time, since Noble Drew Ali made the conception of it. You know what I'm saying? This, you standing on Morocco. America means Morocco in Moorish Latin. So this science is embedded when you get to the peace treaties.
Government documented treaties, the friendship and peace treaty, even before Noble Drew Ali. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, this doc is well documented. You know?
This is why it's a lot of misconceptions that we deal with. It's a lot of deception, but this stuff like this is why I've been working on, especially with the technology of today and what we have access to. I've actually been working on like a global database for Black people, for Africa, where we can place unfiltered, uncorrupted knowledge and history about things that have to do with us, that we can have access to teach ourselves. Uncorrupted, again, like it's not gonna have the spins on it or the conspiracies in it. It's just gonna be factual history that we can have access to. So where it's like, okay, this is what Google's saying, this is what some of the history books are saying, but we can go into this global Black database that I've been working on, where we can search something like that we found in Google or we found here. We can search it in this and find like the real facts about it according to what we know. And I think it helps in stuff like this. You talked about nationality, and a lot of people don't know. They don't really understand what nationality means. You ever hear black people say, "I'm not black, I'm Jamaican," or "I'm mixed because my mom is Cuban and my dad is from Haiti, but they was born in Ohio."
Right.
And they don't really understand what nationality means. So I think that's something that, it's not really an intelligent thing. It's like a miseducation thing. Like they really think that they confuse nationality and race a lot.
Right.
Exactly.
And so that's that's like one of my pet peeves. But I think it's important that people understand what nationality is. Even to call yourself an American, right? It means that you have accepted what white people have done to this land. You've accepted that. You've accepted their labeling of America, and you've decided to label yourself what they told you to label yourself. It's basically, in other words, you're accepting their lies.
That's
And
a fact.
you're labeling with it.
That's what we live.
That's what it means.
We live their lives every day.
So you won't ever hear me call myself, put an American on my name. I'm just not. I know what happened here. There's no way I'm going to call myself an American.
Yeah.
And I think it's important we understand what nationality is. Even a nation, just look at the history of every nation too, before you want to try to label yourself it, and what happened there, and who named it, and what they did there. So it's it's powerful stuff. Like I think that a lot of people are saying in the comments too. I think we really this conversation turned out a lot better than I thought it was going to go. How deep we were going to go, and how deep I could go. But this was definitely high level.
We get when you make the database. You're going to have it on.
I'm working on maybe making it, because with the technology of condensing large amounts of data, I'm working on making it like maybe like an app, like an app that you can go into and you can just search topics, boom, and it'll bring it up for you. So I'm working on that right now.
I think it'd be dope if you definitely chime in with the Moors, because a lot of people don't understand the Moors don't deal with religion. We deal with the law. We study the Black Laws Dictionary. I'm
so deep into it to where I'm going to have the general facts, and then I'm going to extra subsections about where people can add on their perception, their perceived reality to it. I'm really deep and invested in it right now. So
that's deep.
I love it.
Because you know why?
Look, yeah, right. Jerry's that's gonna be our our black GPT, because like we don't want to probably call it that, but I'm saying that we're going through something very powerful shift amongst people who look like us, like the most melanated racial. We'll just call ourselves that.
The reason why I wanted to do it is because of the internet age and because of AI.
Right.
The truth is being so hard to find. They thought that the internet was going to come and AI was going to come and it was going to connect everybody. And no, what it did is it made the truth even harder to find. They got all this mess in there. Anybody with a camera, they can get on there and start spewing their opinion as facts, and it's dangerous because now reality and the truth can literally become lost because it's only carried on by the people.
That's a fact.
So I wanted to create something that was kind of protected from, like they got AI videos in motion now of Barry White, doing the 3 6 Mafia song, like, and it looks legit now to people coming up. They hear stuff like that. They're gonna see stuff like that. History becomes skewed, and people inviting in all this AI. And we love it. We want it. It's cool, but they're not realizing what can potentially happen. It happened already. It happened already in Africa. Like they literally stole and changed and manipulated history, and now it's a new wave of doing it now, where they can control what is seen as the truth. And it's just
I love your idea, because people like Ivan Van Sertima, like the book he just showed us, and the other scholars that wanted to bring us the truth. They got the truth from going to study abroad. You know what I'm saying? Western academia is very, very prejudiced, very it's against us. It's like it's lies, it's confusion. So even these scholars had to go abroad and come back, and that's why we have the books that they've written, Destruction of a Black Civilization. All of these scholars that were born here but studied over there and came back and said, yo, listen, they not teaching us what we need to know. They hiding this, they doing this. So what you're doing is taking what those scholars have done physically and doing it digitally. And I think that's dope. I think that's fire.
All right. Well, all right. This has been a really great conversation. Do you want to end out, say anything else? Okay. All right. Well, I appreciate it, both of y'all coming on here. Definitely gotta look. We said so much in this live, like that. People learn so much from y'all. This is a divine masculine holding it down, right? So this is what
dope.
Right for our men to lead us.
So you gotta send me a copy of this.
Okay, got it.
Me too.
I'm going to make sure that this recording is on the My Sister Wife Tribe page, and then I'll send it to y'all. Yep.
We need to keep this going, because I mean, just like with anything else, we need to battle. It's a war. So even with the misinformation, when we have these spills, it's a build. Like the gods say, we build and destroy, and we have basically altered time. We've altered just with this conversation. That's a fact.
All the perception of the mind.
It's a fact.
Transcended that.
Yeah.
And you got to teach me. You got to teach me. And Jericho, where you located, Jericho?
I'm all over the place. I'm in I'm down south right now.
I'm in New York, man. I want some lessons, man.
For sure.
I want some lessons, King.
Like I'm in New York like usually like once a month. So
all right,
that way.
All right, so we gonna contact, we gonna connect, and I'm with it. I just want some lessons, man.
Absolutely.
Facts.
All right, y'all. It's a wrap. Hope you all got a lot from this, and we'll see you all the next time.
All right.
All right, bless.
All right.
Hold tight.